Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a look at the ultra-elite mothers of Manhattan's Upper East Side. But, we're not looking at them as socialites or reality TV stars. We're actually treating them as a newly discovered tribe of primates. It's wild. We're stepping into this incredibly exclusive world through a rigorous anthropological field report based on the book Primates of Park Avenue. It's a completely unique perspective, one that peels back all that glamorous gloss to reveal the raw and honestly sometimes shocking human behaviors underneath.
So here is our roadmap. We're going to decode this bizarre, high-stakes ecosystem step by step. First up, the actual on-the-ground field research. Then we'll unpack the hidden semiotics of the famous Birkin bag. From there, we explore the class anxiety and intense parenting wars, followed by the paralyzing pressure of extreme intensive mothering. And finally, we'll uncover the invisible exploitation of mommy-nomics. All right, part one, Manhattan's field research. Let's look at how our observer actually entered this incredibly exclusive, hidden world. Armed with a PhD from Yale in anthropology and primatology, our author, Wednesday Martin, moves to the Upper East Side, and she essentially kicks off a participant observation study of these terrifyingly glamorous local mothers. Like a scientist taking field notes, she enters a place with incredibly strict social hierarchies, distinct seasonal migration patterns, to the Hamptons or Aspen, and super rigid rules of engagement. And at first, she's completely intimidated by these women who navigate this island within an island with just cold, calculated precision. And this brings up a brilliant academic concept, habituation. Initially, Martin thought she'd just use her academic background as a shield, right? To stay rational and objective. But just like anthropologists studying remote tribes in the jungle, she undergoes habituation. She goes from being this cool, objective observer to literally starving herself during pregnancy just to fit the local beauty standard. She even starts obsessing over designer bags just to survive the social hierarchy. It's fascinating. She unconsciously morphs to fit the exact environment she was supposed to be studying. Which brings us to section 2 and really the ultimate symbol of this tribe, the semiotics of the Birkin bag. This bag is literally the smoking gun of class anxiety. I mean, why on earth does everyone in this tribe desperately need a Hermes Birkin bag? The author herself becomes completely obsessed with getting one. And it's not just because it's pretty, right? In a world of absolute, unbridled material excess, the Birkin represents the pain of the unattainable. You can't just walk in and buy it. You have to wait, you have to scheme, you have to prove you're worthy. It becomes a literal class pass. And this reveals the deep, layered semiotics at play here. When the author consults clinical psychologist Stephanie Newman, we get this stunning, kind of brutal insight. The bag isn't just a purse. It's actually a reflection of patriarchal power. Newman points out that a wife with a Birkin is basically an excellent accessory for a successful narcissistic man. It acts as a billboard for a husband's ability to dominate the wealth hierarchy. By carrying it, a woman signals her husband's financial dominance and secures her own elevated status within the tribe. So the crucial takeaway here is that in a city where money and connections are everything, this bag functions as a literal shield against judgment. On the surface, it might even be framed as an expression of a mother's love. Like having the right bag helps you get your kid into that incredibly expensive summer camp. But really, it's pure social capital. It's your ticket into the inner circle of elite mom groups. And on the deepest level, it's about sheer identity anxiety. It protects the mother from exclusion, which in turn protects her kids from being discriminated against or socially ostracized. That status anxiety doesn't stop at fashion, obviously. Let's move to section 3, class anxiety and parenting wars, where it trickles directly down to the children. Treating these mothers like an exotic tribe, we get to observe their frantic survival rituals to ensure dominance. And wow, the competition is fierce. They are secretly hiring tutors to prep their 3-year-olds, yes, 3-year-olds, for standardized nursery school tests. They're hiring black market disabled guides to skip lines at Disney World. No way, right? They bond over organic cold-pressed juice fasts and treat dropping $10,000 in a single day at Bergdorf Goodman as totally normal. It is literally weaponized survival of the fittest. This brilliantly illustrates the cultural extreme of the Upper East Side. The author contrasts them with egalitarian African hunter-gatherer societies. In those tribal societies, when a hunter kills an animal, nobody takes sole credit. The meat is shared to maintain equality. But Upper East Side mothers operate on a hyper-competitive, weaponized consumption logic. It really reminds you of Bourdieu's idea of habitus, that ingrained clash of habits. It's the stark contrast between, say, a blue-collar mom doing a practical Costco run for the family versus an elite mom curating a Net-a-Porter cart specifically to weaponize her status. They stare each other down, using material items to violently establish dominance, exposing the completely savage nature of these elite social relations.
Tragically, though, the children themselves are caught right in the crossfire. As the author notes, in this ecosystem, children are sometimes reduced to literal status symbols. They aren't always treated as living, breathing humans, but paraded around like dolls, dressed in thousands of dollars of high-end clothing. Why? Just to prove the mother's success as the reigning queen of her circle. Having 3 or 4 perfectly curated children is the ultimate flex of wealth and genetic superiority. This intense, constant pressure cooks up a terrifying psychological environment. Let's dive into Section 4, Extreme Intensive Mothering. Society demands that these wealthy women adopt what sociologists call intensive mothering, and it's a completely paralyzing mandate. These mothers can literally never just relax. They have to dedicate massive amounts of time, energy, and money to perfectly curating their child's intellectual and emotional development 24/7. Failure to get a kid into the top 0.1% isn't viewed as just a normal childhood bump in the road. Nope, it's seen as absolute proof of maternal failure, which leads to off-the-charts levels of anxiety. Now, you might be wondering, well, these women have millions of dollars, they have it all. But it really begs the question, does having this much money actually buy absolute freedom? The paradox here is absolutely fascinating. Their vast wealth actually curses them with the crushing weight of having to make the absolute perfect choice in every single aspect of life. Because they can choose, they feel they must choose perfectly. Selecting a nursery school becomes a terrifying life-or-death admissions war. Choosing a nanny means competing to hire a royal-approved Norland graduate. Even something like buying a car brings this crushing anxiety of picking the exact right Volvo to perfectly guarantee you avoid accidents. The abundance of choice just becomes a psychological prison. Let's conclude by zooming out to the structural, feminist critique of this whole system in our final section, the invisible exploitation of mommynomics. Underneath all the designer clothes, there is a rigid economic reality. These women are ultimately victims of a system called mommynomics. Think about it. Many of these mothers hold advanced graduate degrees and had highly successful professional careers. But in this tribal hierarchy, they're forced to surrender their hard-earned professional skills to act as free labor. They organize massive galas, run the library, edit newsletters, all for free. Why? Simply to secure their children's social standing and keep them in these elite private schools. The gender imbalance here is just glaring. The alpha male husbands are out in the world earning millions. They publicly pledge to donate their wealth and they gain massive prestige for it. Meanwhile, their brilliant, highly educated wives are relegated to performing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of invisible, unpaid labor for the schools. It's essentially required just to justify their existence and maintain the family status. We have to end this explainer by asking ourselves a really tough question. If the women at the absolute pinnacle of wealth and privilege, women who seemingly have access to everything the world has to offer, are still financially dependent, relentlessly anxious, and economically exploited by their own social system, does true gender equality actually exist anywhere? It's a fascinating look at how social class and feminism collide, and it for sure leaves you looking at luxury in a completely different way. Thanks for exploring this with us.